In this tutorial, we'll go over the basic differences between the Units tab and the Finish tab. Whenever we are presented with a new project in estimating, we understand that there are rooms within the building that require finishes, fixtures, and an array of other line items that are specific to those interior spaces. Now, when we think about these interior spaces within the context of any residential project, which will include hotels, dorms, apartments, condos, etc., there are really two categories of interior space. There are private spaces in which people live, which we refer to as units, seen here as RD or an RA type of dorm, apartment, a single bedroom, a conjoined suite with 2 singles, or a quad suite with 4 singles. And then there are spaces that serve a purpose to the function of the building as a whole, which we will refer to as rooms. Seen here, bike storage, back of house circulation, lobby, loading dock. Now, let's discuss why these two types of interior spaces are separated. In residential projects, it's common for costs to be broken out on a per unit basis or a per bed basis, and therefore we need an intuitive way of tracking all of these factors throughout the building. Additionally, units in any type of residential project are typically designed to stack geometrically similar units vertically or repeat geometrically similar units throughout a specific floor. Because of this, the Units tab is designed in a way that allows us to input the geometry of a type of unit and plug in the count per floor of that specified unit. As we spoke about before, this project has a couple of different unit types. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see that each of these unit types has its own number of beds, baths, half bath if that's an option for this project, and each of these units has a specified area. Here we are allowed to place the quantity of each of these rooms depending on what level they appear. And if we go to our quantity takeoff section, we can see that there are all of these line items that are associated with the interior of these units. It should also be mentioned that the Units tab can be useful when cataloging parking spaces as well. When you add a parking use group, you can choose to track the quantity of parking spots here, which will allow you to display the project cost on a per parking space basis when you go to the Reports tab. We can see our unit count here. And when we go to our below grade parking use group and look down at the bottom on the cost per unit, we can see the cost of this below grade parking feature broken out on a per unit basis. Next, let's discuss the Finish tab and why we want to track these rooms separately. The Finish tab allows us to catalog all the functional rooms within a project. Typically, there are many more geometrically unique functional rooms than there are geometrically unique units. So we wanted to provide a separate method of visualization for the user to edit and track these unique functional rooms and their finishes. This allows the user to see the total cost of any distinct room broken out separately, here under Total Cost. And we have our own geometry worksheet for each of these rooms, and we're allowed to select the specific finishes of any given room as well. Finally, it's useful to note that every individual use group in a project gets its own finish and unit page, which you've already seen me use when we looked at parking spaces for the below grade parking use group. The project estimator should be aware that these pages are designed as such to allow us to display per room cost breakouts separately for each respective use group. All of that is to say, if you are working on a project with multiple use groups, pay attention to the use group in which you've selected to catalog your rooms or your units, because it's easy to accidentally place all rooms into one use group instead of their appropriate use group. A common mistake would be the following example. Let's say you're estimating a project where there are both hotel guest rooms and condo units in the same tower. Perhaps there are two lobbies, one for the hotel and one for the condo. The hotel lobby should go in the hotel use group, and the condo lobby should go in the condo use group. This allows us and our clients to compare the cost for this project's condo tenants to the project's costs for the hotel tenant. Another example might be putting rooms associated with the parking use group into the residential use group. You can see when I choose from our drop-down menu over here and go to below grade parking, we have separate rooms for this use group for all of those functional rooms that are specific to the below grade parking garage. As one final note, let's return to the Units tab. There are many places in CostLab where you can track the quantities of material for interior walls, but one of the easiest places to do so is in the Units tab under Common Walls. This allows us to input global quantities of wall material rather than on a per unit or per room basis, which helps us prevent double counting a wall material for rooms that share a partition. You can see that we've broken this out into 2-hour rated, 1-hour rated, corridor partitions, demising, CMU, and it's allowed us to get specific quantities on a per floor basis rather than on a per room basis. At this point, we've gone over the fundamental difference between the Finish tab and the Units tab. And for further detail on how to use each of these features, there will be separate tutorials that you can view. Thanks for watching.